kind of feedback we were getting was that there just wasn't a lot of consistency in the quality. And not to say that there's great companies in every industry, and then there's other companies that aren't as great. And what makes it difficult for janitorial is that the barrier to entry is relatively low. I mean, this isn't actually the case, but you basically just need a bucket and a mop, right? To be able to clean it.
The Buzz on Better Business podcast, positioning your business as one that is trustworthy, is something that we all know is important. But what does it actually take to accomplish this? Join your BBB each month as we unveil the world of local accredited businesses who have it mastered and have positioned themselves as ethical leaders in our Acadiana marketplace. All right, thank you for joining us for our fourth Buzz on Better Business podcast. We're joined by Christian Williford, owner of Apex Commercial Cleaning. We're going to talk to Christian a little bit about his background, who his father is, who maybe you've heard of, especially if you've done anything in the fighting boxing world, what it takes to manage a great company, and how Apex Commercial Cleaning got started. So before we get started with Christian, just a quick word from our sponsor.
Elevate your office space with Apex Commercial Cleaning. Based right here in Lafayette, Louisiana, we've been serving Lafayette Parish since 2014. Our after-hours cleaning services are tailored to your needs, whether you're a single business or a multi-location giant. At Apex, we treat customers and employees right because we believe in doing unto others. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, or at apexcleaningla.com. For a cleaner, brighter workspace, call 337-573-APEX. That's 337-573-2739. Apex Commercial Cleaning, serving the heart of southwestern Louisiana.
All right, Christian, thank you for joining us for our, I guess will be September episode of the Buzz on Better Business podcast. Christian Williford, board member with BBB, owner of Apex Commercial Cleaning.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So let's start out just straight from the jump. How'd you get to become a guest on here? How'd that happen?
Well, Brennan nominated me, Dr. Brennan Kelly.
Yeah, okay. So he was in that seat not too long ago, and he said you'd be a great candidate.
Well, we got to know each other pretty well over the last couple of years. Ironically, which I don't know that Brennan shared this on his podcast episode. I didn't hear him say it, but Brennan used to be in the cleaning business before he was in the chiropractic business.
He didn't tell us that.
He did not. He left that little secret out. But I've worked hard over the years to build connections with other cleaning companies in the area because I'm a big believer in making connections rather than competition. The better that we all are, the more that each of us are motivated to do better and provide better customer service. Cool. And this is 100% a customer service industry.
Right.
That service just happens to be cleaning. But through that, Brennan's former business partner, who they do some specialty things that we don't do, so we refer a lot of work to them. We've gotten to become friends over the years and made the connection with Brennan, and just ironically, kind of the fate of living in Lafayette. It's like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, but much shorter of a list. Ran into each other, made that connection, and just got along well. And when he came up as a nomination for the board for the BBB, I knew he'd be a great fit. And he called me and asked me what I thought, and I said, I think you should say yes.
He did. He told me that. I actually had been seeing him. We kind of talked about it in his episode for a few years as a chiropractor, and I said, I think he'd be a good board member for us. And he told me after, he said, I know Christian. Let me reach out to him. And he's on our board now. So he nominated you, said you'd be a great candidate. So what we do is we talk about businesses, the people that run those businesses, how they maintain trust, staff, how they do the right thing in the community. We know not all businesses do that, unfortunately, but the majority of them do, especially our board members, obviously, and our accredited members. So before we get into the business, I guess, let's talk a little bit about Christian. Where's Christian from? How'd he grow up? What's he got going on as a child?
Oh, man. How long is this podcast? So I grew up right here in Lafayette. My parents weren't originally from here, but they met here. Got married, had a bunch of kids. They had 5 boys. I'm one of 5.
Oh, man.
My dad was, he passed away in 19, but in the 41 years that he lived in Lafayette, I guess is how long it was, he got to be pretty well known in the community.
Yeah.
He had a boxing gym, and he went from focusing on professionals to amateurs and really kind of focusing on kids and at-risk youth towards the probably last 15 years of his gym. And that made a big impact on me. My mom was obviously there in his corner, so to speak.
There you go.
Pun heavily intended, but he, had just a huge heart. And one of the things he told me over the years, one instance in particular that he told me, and it was really that moment made it really kind of drove it home for me.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about the gym, and he said it's not about how many members we have or how much money we make or the amount of championships there or the medals or the trophies. All it's about is making better citizens for our community. And that was kind of a crazy thing to hear from somebody who was a business owner.
Right.
And it really showed me that for him, it wasn't about the money.
Right.
And with kids, when you're doing at-risk youth organization, that's not necessarily going to be the case. It was about helping people. And that molded me to the person that I am today. And my mom was a volunteer with Special Olympics she still
Wow,
is.
okay.
So for
Awesome.
40 years, she's been a Sunday school teacher, kindergarten Sunday school teacher for 40 years, and involved with a number of organizations, Boys and Girls Club, the Oil Center Association, when it was called the Oil Center Renaissance Association years ago, and probably a number of other things that as a kid I just wasn't aware of. But we were always involved in different things, helping people,
Right.
and active in the community. So with 4 brothers, there was a lot going on, and my parents had what I would call an open door policy. If somebody needed a place to come, we were always kind of a safe haven, from adults that were members of my dad's gym to friends of ours that maybe needed somewhere to be.
Right.
Right. And I applaud my parents for doing that. I don't have that same policy at my house, probably because I grew up like that. I'm like, I'll put you in a hotel. I'll put you in a hotel all day.
You're not in my house, though, right?
Well, 1 or 2 nights, but growing up like that, it changes your perspective on things a little bit.
Absolutely.
But I'm certainly grateful and attribute so much of who I am today and where I am today to the parents that I had and the sacrifices that they made and the decisions they made and example they set.
And we hear that often, a lot of times who people become starts in the home. So clearly you had some good examples. Personally, your dad, Bo Williford, right? I did not know him personally, but when I graduated high school, I played sports all my life. And I think I maybe have told you the story, but was not football or baseball caliber on the collegiate level. And I just kind of, what am I going to do now? You know, and started boxing amateurly for a little while and just knew of the Bo Williford here in Lafayette. And that would have been 20 years ago now. So
when he had that van that he'd drive around in.
So I didn't know him, but I knew of him. And I know he was doing great things out there and everybody respected him. So I know, when we met, obviously years ago at this point, and you said that was your father, I knew from then, okay, well, I know this is going to be a good guy because I know who his father was and how he grew up.
And I've heard that a lot over the years, and people will make that connection. I just found out on Thursday when we were at the Kiwanis Club Football Jamboree from a member who's been a member for 50-plus years of the club, which is unbelievable. They just recognized him for 51 years of membership.
Wow.
And he never knew my last name in the last couple of years of being in the club, but, so what? And so anyways, he learned my last name, and he asked me, and he said, your dad used to be in the club. And I had no idea that my dad had, in years past, been in the Kiwanis Club. So it was a great little moment to
that's good.
have that. And he wasn't there on Tuesday after the Jamboree to ask him questions, but I'm intrigued to ask what that was like during that time when he was a member. So
get some insight, huh?
Just something, you don't think about those types of things when somebody's here, but when they're gone, you start to think about those little things.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, mentioning Kiwanis, you're a member of Kiwanis. Obviously, you find value in that. Better Business Bureau, we're also members as a company. And I guess we can talk a little bit about the Jamboree since we just had it. We were out there volunteering. That's, I guess, the big annual event for Kiwanis Lafayette, huh?
Yeah, we had some records this year that we think we broke on concessions, which you and your team helped in.
Man, we worked hard for a lot of hours.
Andre, he said, man, I love those guys. Can we get them out here every night? And I said, I don't think so. But we ended up having 50 at Lafayette High students for the wrestling team and the wrestling coaches out there to help. They helped in concessions, clean up, everything.
Wow.
So it was great to see. Their coach is a big, he pushes hard for the kids to get involved in the community and for them to understand that, you know, this is where you
Right.
live and you need to give back. So it was a great turnout, from tickets to concessions.
Yeah.
And we typically do anywhere from 90 to 100,000 is what we raise on that, from sponsorship sales to tickets, concessions, and so
Right.
forth. And then we give tickets to all of the schools. They sell them and they get to keep the funds. So that goes back to their athletic program. And then the ticket sales at the door, I don't remember the exact numbers, so I don't want to misquote it, but a percentage of that goes back to all the schools that participate in the Jamboree as well. So
Cool.
it's a great opportunity to impact those local schools and their teams as well. And so we had a lot of people out there and some great games, and just an awesome time to be out there and provide a great kickoff for their football season.
It's like that's when you know it's officially football season in Acadiana, is when the Kiwanis Jamboree. I remember as a high school football player myself, the Jamboree was kind of the.
It was at Karen Crow when you were growing up, huh?
I think it
for
was.
me too,
I
yeah.
think it was.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of the kickoff, we'll say pun intended as well,
Right. Oh, yeah.
of the season. So I do remember that, been hosting that for a long time. Now, Kiwanis does a lot in the community, aside obviously just from the Jamboree. So as a business owner, what was the value or draw for you to get involved in that years ago?
The thing that made me make the decision to get involved was Operation Magi, which is a Christmas thing that we do. We get a list from the Lafayette Parish School Board of all the kids in elementary school, so 5th grade and under, that the counselors and the people in the school board have that information. These are in families that sometimes they're homeless, but they're under the poverty line, and the situations are oftentimes really unfortunate, of course, but these are kids that would likely otherwise not have a Christmas at all. And some of the things that these kids are thankful to get when you, in a Kiwanian, as we're referred to,
Right.
gets to shop with the kids, so that it's really what the kid wants, and there's no parental influence. They give us a list of things, but if this kid loves Spider-Man, he wants a Spider-Man T-shirt,
Getting a Spider-Man T-shirt, yeah.
But sometimes it's stuff like a toothbrush. Like I've been
I know,
sharing
right?
a toothbrush with my sister for the last 2 years living in Mom's car, and it's just heartbreaking. And
I know.
When I learned that we would have the opportunity to get involved with something like that, these kids didn't ask to be here. They got born into a situation that they have no control over, and that was my 100% I'm in. If this is what we raise money for, if this is the only thing we do and nothing else all year long,
It's
I'm in.
worth it, yeah.
But we've partnered. We just had our 3rd year for our Rewards for Reading program.
Which was great, by the way.
Oh yeah, you went to some
We
of the
went
schools,
to Marshall Beode
which had a big
and
turnout.
did the awards and stuff with the principal there.
When we made the decision, well, I didn't say I wasn't there, but it was announced to the board a couple weeks ago that we'll now be doing the 11 middle schools in the area as well.
Oh,
To help
wow.
for there. Now the prizes will be different, and
Yeah.
the middle school kids don't want the same type of
Yeah, it's
recognition as elementary kids.
They're
There's
too
a
cool
little-
for that.
Yeah, they're too
We
cool
were
for
there.
that. Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Man, hey, but if it helps to motivate them and encourage them to,
I think at that age, you actually don't want people to know you're reading.
that's exactly what Casey said. All the librarians said
The
they
ones
don't want
not reading
anybody
wanna
to
be
know.
right. Yeah.
Exactly. But it's great to be involved in that and to be a part of something that gives back. And we've as a company over the years, we've had a lot of opportunities to do marketing and different things. And for years, the only kind of marketing that we did was youth sports, sponsoring teams. You get a banner up at a park or something
Right.
with your sponsorship, but really trying to get back there, because I do believe that youth sports, whatever the sport is,
Yeah.
has a great impact on a kid and who they become as an adult. That relationship that they get to build
Right.
with a coach, somebody that's not their parent a lot of times,
Yeah.
that they can look to and hopefully build trust in, as well as being on a team and understanding what it means to be held accountable and to be relied on
Yeah,
by
absolutely.
others. I think there's a lot of people that can look back on situations in their life if they played team sports, and even, I mean, individual sports as well. But team sports,
Just
I'm
a lot
big
of that
believer
structure
in.
and discipline, and yeah.
It's fun to be a part of something, you know, and we all have to live with each other and eventually work with each other. So we got
Right.
to learn to socialize, and sometimes, you know, sports help put you in tough situations. You know what it feels like to win and to experience that joy, but you also oftentimes have to deal with a loss, and what that
right.
feels like, and
yeah.
how to learn from that loss rather than to, you know, beat yourself up. And so
Mm-hmm.
I use that a lot. We don't get every customer that we go after. Not everything ends up perfectly. We're human.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big thing we push. You know, we're human. We know we're going to make mistakes, but when that mistake is made, let us know. We want to be held accountable so we can make that correction and make that improvement. And the goal is to be proactive. How can we prevent this from happening in any customer's location moving forward, rather than reactive to each situation? And there's a lot of things that, for me, as far as for accountability goes and so forth, that I find I learned in sports, team sports, and even individual sports like boxing, because it's just you in there. You know, when the bell sounds,
Right,
there's nobody else in there with you.
Yeah.
It's not tag team, which,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, that would be fun if they allowed that.
Hey, that might be a new concept.
Hey,
Tag team
you know.
boxing.
You know, get the commission to support in the state of Louisiana. We'll see, but it would definitely draw a crowd, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
you know, but you have to recognize that it's the people behind you that helped you get there, and you do have a team because you're working with people. You're training, you're practicing sparring and things like that, and so there's relationships built there where it's very much a team. But when you get in there, it's like a pitcher on the mound. It's
up
just
to you.
you know,
Yeah.
you got to perform. And the biggest difference is that nobody's trying to hit a pitcher in the face, whereas in boxing they are. So, but you know, the relationships that I built in those sports really helped with coaches that, you know, unfortunately I did have my dad as my coach in that, but other coaches in the gym and then in other sports. And I hoped that we could give that opportunity to more kids by being able to sponsor teams in the community. And as time grew and as the business grew, as time went on, the business grew, we really tried to figure out how can we get more involved in the community in other areas and give back. So we've done some things for breast cancer. My wife's a breast cancer survivor, so after that we got pretty heavily involved for a good while, and we still are involved. But you know, we would sponsor and we would provide the cleanup for a lot of the Susan G. Komen events that happen here in Acadiana. And from that, you know, we got a lot more employee engagement in those things, and they could see that it was different than other places that they had worked where, you know, we want you to come out
different
here and be
culture
a part
within.
of this.
Yeah.
And just like everybody else, you know, from March of 2020 until not that long ago, things were a little different. So we're excited to get back into that groove and that routine.
Absolutely.
Doing
Aren't
things.
we all? Yeah.
No. Well, there's a big fundraiser making a comeback, which I can say now because this will air shortly after you know, we speak, and by then it'll be public information. But Auctioneer Lafayette General did a gumbo cook-off for years. It engages a lot of the teams in. The teams are often teams from within the hospital, so it's a great opportunity for them to do things together. But it's also an opportunity for businesses to sponsor and get involved, and they have a team, make gumbo, and participate in the cook-off, live band, and different things. And it's in the afternoon. It'll be the last Friday of October, which is what it's been every year. So it's making a comeback this year after being dormant through the last couple of years. And the Oil Center Association, which I'm involved in, is going to be co-hosting it with Auctioneer Lafayette General, and it is with the foundation for Auctioneer Lafayette General. And so we will be raising money for the Breast Center of Acadiana, specifically for breast cancer, and it's going to be pink themed, and it's going to be a great time. It's going to be a great opportunity for people to give back.
October is a great month, right? Isn't that Breast Cancer Awareness
Month? Breast Cancer Month. Oh yeah, and so it'll be fun to participate in that, and and to help see it come to fruition.
That used to be in the parking garage, right?
It'll be in the parking garage again. at the it'll be open to the public. People can buy wristbands. You come in. I can't remember what the price we determined for wristbands, but you come in and you
like
get to
sample everybody's gumbo. Yeah, right. Awesome.
We made a diet gumbo our first year.
Diet gumbo.
Well, that's how we marketed it. We didn't have the.
Is this like the Volkswagen clean car thing? It wasn't really clean.
Yeah, it was. It was diet, I guess, because there was less flour. Because there wasn't. We didn't do our measurements right, our formulations or whatever you want to call it for the roux recipe. We'd never made that much gumbo before. So
yeah, it's a challenge.
Came out very light, like a broth. So I was marketing it as
like
diet
a soup,
gumbo. Yeah, we
gumbo soup.
We got some sympathy votes on the People's Choice tickets, but it was fun. It was a great experience. And
we might have to get involved in that because we've done a gumbo cook-off as a team at BBB. We did it in Acadia Parish, and we didn't win. We thought we should have been the winner, but we didn't win. And there were some great gumbos out there, and it was chilly. It was that time of year as well. I mean, that's a perfect time to be at and we're actually looking for one. It's been a little while. So
I mentioned it to Bridget at the Jamboree.
Oh, okay.
She told me to get her some more information, and that's some of the logistics have kind of come more into
light
knowing exactly what we're going to do.
Right.
Since because that was just last Thursday, so not that long ago from when we're talking now.
Right.
But I also thought we should have won because we were the only gumbo in the diet.
The only
gumbo
diet
category. But
winner diet gumbo. Yeah. That's
we did
funny.
actually take our director of operations, Mike. He was the main chef, and it was my fault. I was the miscalculator of things, but he was the main one doing everything. And so at our Christmas party that year, I had a big gumbo paddle inscribed and number
Best
one
diet
in the diet gumbo cook-off.
Oh man, that's good.
It was fun, but
it's always a good time.
I did want to make sure that he got recognized because it was a long day you got to get out there at 4 or 5 in the morning.
Oh
and
man,
start
it
cooking.
is.
We've already planned how we're going to, because we're of course going to have a team this year.
Okay.
One of our guys cut himself within 5 minutes last year. So we're going to pre-cut, and it's like we weren't prepared.
Yeah.
In the same way, we had never done one.
It's great
like
team
that.
building, right? Such a great time, good memories.
Oh yeah, and we're working on. So we do a crawfish boil every year for all of our employees, and we've done that every year now for 5 years. One year we interrupted that and we had a barbecue last year or a year before last, and they really enjoyed that. So we're going to do another barbecue, but we're going to do it in the fall. So we'll do the gumbo cook-off, and then a few months later we'll do the barbecue, and then we have our Christmas party, which we do awards and recognition and door prizes, and we try to make it fun as much as possible. And door prizes for everybody. So if we have 33 people coming and they're significant others, so if there's 60 people, well then there's going to be 60 door prizes. Because
dang, that's awesome.
The people that come to have fun and talk about it as well and say, man, like I want to work here. This is how they treat you.
Absolutely.
But we do in our we do nice awards, but the employee of the year gets a belt, like naturally coming from a boxing family and growing up in the time frame when WWF and WCW was big, and 4 brothers and one house. You get it's a nice big real leather championship belt that says employee of the year. So it's definitely a conversation piece and something a little different that we've not seen any other companies do for their employee of the year.
That's neat.
So, but in between each of those events, we want to do something for our employees. We're thinking something with UL, so we're continuing to support our local university, maybe football, basketball, and baseball, easy things to kind of plug into and take them to games, and just an opportunity. Maybe it's not so much a team building experience, it's just an experience of doing something together.
Right, as a group. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's hard because of the janitorial industry. You have building A, building B, and building C, but they're not next to each other. You have, these 2 people that clean at building A, they work together Monday through Friday. These 2 that clean at building B, and these 3 that clean at building C. So unless they cross paths when they come
they don't
to the
even know they
office
work
for
together.
Supplies, right? We've had cousins meet each other at the Christmas party and not know.
You work here?
Yeah,
I work here.
Yeah, right. How's your mom in now? So
Yeah.
we have to do those kinds of things to be able to engage employees with one another.
Sure.
And a lot of our employees have a day job. You know, they work for us in the evening. They're looking for something secondary or supplemental, or they've got some goal, something in their life that they're trying to achieve, and they love where they work during the day, but they need some additional
Extra income. Yeah. Okay.
It's a great job where they can come in and they're not really having to deal with people too much and make a whole lot of decisions. You know, like it's task-oriented work, and for a lot of people, it's rewarding in a therapeutic sense. You know, it's like cutting the grass when it's really high. You know it looks better after. And so the same thing when you're cleaning.
Sure.
And, you know, we want it to be a place where people like coming to work. So we work hard to make sure that environment exists.
So let's talk a little bit about the business. Clearly the community is super important to you. I mean, very involved in the community. You come from a sports background, probably boxing specifically. So it's in the name, Apex Commercial Cleaning. You know, what there's probably many businesses you could have started or been involved with and been very well successful in. So what was it about that industry that had you start Apex?
You know, honestly, the best answer I can give is opportunity. There was an opportunity there to make a difference. There, I don't want to say there was a void, but from at the time when the interest came about, in a sense, to make a very long story short, we realized that the kind of feedback we were getting was that there just wasn't a lot of consistency in the quality, and not to say that there's great companies in every industry, and then there's other companies that aren't as great, and what makes it difficult for janitorial is that the barrier to entry is relatively low. I mean, this isn't actually the case, but you know, you basically just need a bucket and a mop, right? You know, to be able to clean. It's not, I don't need a degree. I don't need a bunch of other things. You know, ideally the company you use has insurance and they're licensed and bonded and all that stuff. But there's a lot of times that's not the case, and people just hire somebody and
XYZ cleaning service.
And look, and they might not even. It might just be, this is Mr. Rocky. You know, he's been cleaning our office for 25 years.
Exactly. Okay.
And look, and Rocky does a great job. Good guy. You know, honest person. But when Rocky's sick, or when Rocky wants to go on vacation, who cleans your office then?
Yeah.
Or when you expand, do you have another location? Can Rocky handle that as well? And so, naturally, boxing, I'm going to use the name Rocky, but
I know, right?
Nonetheless, what kind of pushed and moved in that direction, because I was in the nursing home industry and loved it. I loved working there because there was elderly people, obviously, and they're in a vulnerable place at that point in their life, and so to be there in the role that I was in was one that I took a lot of pride in, and so it was an opportunity to move into a different field and to hopefully be able to provide a quality service to the businesses in our community, as well as a good opportunity for people looking for a job in our community as well. And it gave me the ability to decide what I was involved in, and
there you go,
to be involved in more community things, like being a part of the BBB.
Yeah, you guys are heavily involved in the community. You mentioned nursing home industry. You know, my wife's an administrator, so I'm very familiar. She's been doing that for over 10 years now, so I'm very familiar with, you know, I don't want to say the burden of, but, you know, the industry of taking care of our elderly is one that it requires good people, and it's one that you were in for a while, and then you took probably some of those traits and turned it into, you know, an organization that cleans people's buildings. But you probably have, and I've seen, because you guys clean our building at the BBB, that there's almost a nursing home level of care to people's facilities. Would you say that's on purpose?
I would say it's on purpose now, but initially it was on accident.
Yeah.
And it's credit to the nursing home that I worked at, the owner and administrator. I learned so much from him. And I think we all learn from coaches in sports and teachers and bosses and managers in our lives. And ideally, we take the best of each of those and we try to, you know, mold it into our lives to be a better version of ourselves. And he was just an awesome boss. And there was so many things that I learned from him and so many things that I do today. A lot with employees, probably more with how you treat employees and treating them like people, and look, treat them the way you want to be treated, which is normal that everybody says that.
You said that, right.
But actually doing it and witnessing somebody do it and seeing him make tough decisions where maybe it didn't really benefit him, but he knew he was helping somebody else out and he would do it anyways.
So I know who you're talking about. Let's tell everybody who.
That's right, you do. Lance Linscomb.
Yeah, he was on our board for a while at BBB.
Cornerstone Village South was a highly rated nursing home facility in our community, and the family had a couple, but and it was highly rated because of what he did and how much he cared, and seeing him care to the degree that he did when he was at a point in his career when I was working there that he didn't. I wouldn't say he didn't have to, but he could have, taken it a lot easier. And I tell you,
meant a lot to him.
He was a great example, great boss, and still a great friend.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I still talk to him these days as well. See him at Red sometimes. Yeah. He's trying to get his workouts in. So we'll have to make sure to share this with him so he knows he got a shout out. He's probably working in his garden right now because the weather's a little better today.
Oh, yeah. That man never stops.
He doesn't. Yeah. He doesn't. So from there, commercial cleaning. What year did you guys start? I don't recall how long you've been around.
So officially, Secretary of State's 2014.
2014. Okay. So almost 10 years now.
Oh, yeah. So I haven't quite figured out what we're going to do next year to celebrate, but we got to get there first.
You got to get there.
I'm looking forward to being able to celebrate that. I'm excited. I'm proud of the staff that we have, and we have some. We didn't start hiring employees and right away. That took some time to build. I was at the nursing home during the day and cleaning at night, and it was a big stepping stone for us to get to that point. And eventually I wanted to not work 80 hours a week or more if it called for that. So I was glad to get to that point. But one of our first employees is still with us. Actually, two of our first employees are still with us to this day. So, which is about 7-8 years now that they've been working with us. So that's
awesome.
It's great because they're super reliable, honest, hardworking people that we can trust, and they like working here, and they like how they're treated. And one of them in particular really likes that she doesn't have to deal with anybody.
Sometimes that's what works for people.
It's just her personality.
Knowing thyself is important. So.
Oh yeah. So 2014 was when we started, and I did the nursing home and cleaning for about a year and a half, which.
So would you say in 2014 you were the best dressed then, or that came later?
If you ask my mom, I'm the best at everything I've ever done. But she's my number one fan, and my wife. But moms are always good
yes, cheerleaders.
So I would say that I dressed in what I was supposed to wear, which in 2014 was a uniform. So I wore that. But the best dressed janitor kind of came about it, I don't know, almost 2 years ago now, a year and a half ago. And it has been so hot this summer that I have sort of abandoned it a little bit and went back to polos, and because
got to survive in this heat.
I guess it was in May, and I said, "Gosh, I can't wear a suit. I can't even wear a button down. I'm sweating in the house before I even leave. It's unbelievable." And so But the purpose of that was to really kind of push, like, appearance is important, and just as I take my appearance important, you take the appearance of your business and your facility and the cleanliness of the environment for yourself, your staff, and your visitors and customers. That appearance is important. And so it was really kind of trying to drive that home to people that, kind of a
let us help you make sure your appearance is good,
but I'm dressing this way also because I want you to know that we're professional. We're not some fly-by-night operation. We're not some tiny little thing where we're going to say we can do this for you, and we're not really going to be able to provide the service at a high level for a long period of time. We have customers that we've had since 2014. We still have a lot of our initial customers. Scott Laverne, another BBB board member, we've been cleaning his office for the building he's in. We've been cleaning since 2014 in his office as well, since probably 2015, 2016. So. a long time. So we're also very, very fortunate to have some awesome customers. We rely heavily on their communication to us, and we can't be everywhere and see everything all the time. So they let us know if something isn't as it should be, so that we can correct it and then be proactive to make sure it doesn't happen again. But also the relationships that we build with our customers, and a lot of them are involved in things in the community, have helped us to grow as a business as well, because you have these business owners and these, they're leaders in their industry, and many of them in different avenues in our community. So there's a lot that we can learn from them. So I'm fortunate to be in a position where we have a lot of great customers and a lot of people that I can learn from.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's been for us at the Better Business Bureau one of the great things we've been able to realize, and the reason we created this podcast was to kind of open the curtains, per se, behind what it takes to run a business. And it's not always about, you got to have the best people that have the best skills and the most efficiency and make the most money. It's about a lot of these root things, doing the right thing, treating your people right, doing a lot, being involved in the community,
right.
Leading with your heart, I guess, sometimes more so than anything else. And
which can be hard.
It is. Yeah. It's tough, and it's, that's the reason we started this podcast. So it's great to hear those things, and they really tie in closely to what we do at the Better Business Bureau. So we report on all businesses, and we let people know, can you trust them or not? That's kind of really what in just a black and white scenario, that's what it comes down to. And, what does that business rating say? What's their track record in the marketplace? And what we find is we've got right at 1,100 businesses in Acadiana that are accredited, and almost all of those businesses have people involved with them, whether it's in upper management or the owners, that are doing very similar things. They care about their employees. They care about the community. They want to do the right thing. But in your industry, I'd imagine trust is a little bit more important than any, because, you're in a lot of, I know for us, we're not there when you guys are there.
We talk a lot about that there's a vulnerability there. And I think that's where there's some of that nursing home level, because you bring your mom to the nursing home. She needs care. She can't care for herself at home. You work, you got small kids. You can't care for her, unfortunately, and she doesn't want to be a burden on you. So, I hate to use that word, but that's a word that was used a lot. And in cleaning, it's, it can be used the same way. So you bring her to the nursing home where you're trusting that they're going to take care of her, that her needs are going to be met, that what's agreed upon is going to be done, and you leave. And you can't be there. You can't do it all, but you can't see it all, and you have to trust.
Sure.
And so for us, you don't want that burden on yourself and your staff of having to clean your office. And sometimes their buildings are just too big. Even if you said everybody takes care of their own space, well, who takes care of the huge break room or the
kitchen and toilets
conference room and the bathrooms? Yeah, when you got 14 stalls and one bathroom and there's 4 floors of that. But we come in, nobody's there most of the time. So there's a certain level of security that we recognize that's a part of what we do. That it wouldn't matter how clean it is in the morning when you come in, but if the door's unlocked and the alarm's not set, I don't care if it's the cleanest building in the history of cleaning, of mankind. My building was left vulnerable and unsecure. So we take that very serious, and we recognize that when somebody hands over those keys to us, to their building, and gives us an alarm code, that there is an unspoken trust that is being transferred. And so we really work hard to maintain that. We've worked hard to gain that trust in the community, and to be, we're fortunate to be, referred by a lot of our customers to other businesses that, again, fortunately become customers. And when they, we make sure to point that out, that we recognize that there's a level of vulnerability here that you're putting yourself in. And we take security important. We take, it's a very important measure to us, and we take it seriously. And we want you to know you can trust us. And if there's ever anything at all whatsoever, please tell us. We're not going to try to hide behind anything. We want to take accountability for whatever there is. And on the way here, I got a call from a customer that something had happened with an alarm, and everything was fine. He said that it's like an auto set that it has, and they went a little later than they normally do in the alarm auto set. And it went off, and they went and they disarmed it, and he called me and he said, nobody's in trouble, nothing's wrong, everything's fine. I just wanted you to know about it in case they had reported it, and I'm going to make sure that auto set gets pushed back a little bit so I don't have that issue. But, the fact that he could call me and have that conversation with me as if, I could sense that there was trust from him. And that was another thing with the BBB that, don't let me misquote, so please help me here. But trust, integrity, or start with trust was the thing for a long time.
Yeah, it's kind of one of our main taglines. Start with trust. You
Right.
know, start with a business that you can trust and rely on.
When I have a notepad, like a little peel and stick pad from when Cornerstone was in, I don't remember what the specific category was in, but it was back in 2015, 2016 at City Club. It was a lunch BBB Awards that year. And and I remember having the stuff, but I can remember that little notepad, seeing those little words on there from time to time, and they just, integrity and trust, those are words that have a lot of meaning to them. If they mean something to you, they have a lot of meaning to them.
Sure.
And so I was very excited when, at the opportunity when the BBB called us and, talked to us about possible accreditation a number of years ago. I was like, yeah, I want the seal, because I know what it means as a consumer when you see that. And so very proud that we have the opportunity to be one of those 1,100 accredited businesses.
Well, we appreciate that, and I know you guys been accredited for a long time, and it's things you're already doing, right? You're not doing it because you're accredited. You're already doing it. It's just an extra stamp showing our community that, hey, this is what these people are doing out in the community. You can trust them, and to speak a little bit about, you mentioned you had a conversation on the way here. He called you and talked to you. You're the owner of the company, and you've got a customer who's able to call and have a conversation. Good, bad, ugly, maybe some of both, or some of all. That's what we find a lot with businesses too, is that a business that is accessible by their consumers is typically going to be more successful than one that you're not able to get in touch with the right people. You're not, that starts to erode that level of trust. If I can't even get in touch with you, and I know you guys are very proactive, so as a customer at BBB, we have our alarm. Bridget and I actually both get notifications when it's arm, disarm. We can do all that from an app. And when your guys leave, they arm it, and we know when they've left. But we've had many a times. I think it's Mike or somebody else have come by after them, unannounced. We didn't know they were going. No big deal. They used the key and they got in. And what we found out was they were just inspecting, making sure that everything's good. Because I'm not sure the gentleman's name. He's been doing a great job. There hadn't been any complaints, but
I give him a shout out, Big Damien. He's a great guy.
Let's just go make sure.
Yeah, I love Damien, and that's it. That's part of it, is that quality assurance measure. And so we have some metrics that we use. There's some KPIs. I hate that word. I hate that acronym. It might be KIPs for all I know. I hate it so much, but I hear it so much. But key performance indicators that we try to look at, and it helps keep us on track. And we have software. We use an app that we do our inspection reports with, and it sends a report back to the cleaner so that they know if there's something that they've missed, where that is, and where they need to improve. But we also, when something is excellent, we want to highlight that too. All too often people work somewheres where it's just a negative. They're told when they've done something wrong, or when they've been bad, or, they're getting reprimanded. Right. We need to know when we do a good job. And for us in cleaning, and it's just human nature. We actually want to be an afterthought. I want people, when they say, hey, who does your cleaning? They say who it is and how do they do? They do great. We don't have any issues. I don't want it to be, they do, but we had this happen or that happen. Right. However, that will happen. But when they say that, the goal is for them to say, but they're on it. They're on top of it. I sent an email, and within an hour, Alex showed up, and I had no idea that he was even coming. I told him, you didn't need to come. And he tells the customer, no, I understand that, but we want to make sure that that we address whatever the issue is and that we can correct it. And if you're saying that this wasn't done last night, well, it's 9 a.m. You got 7 hours left of business to do. Let me go ahead and take care of that for you so that it's not lingering around all day. And normally it's something small and simple, but when they see that we take those small things, as if they're big things, then they know that they can trust us with whatever in the cleaning realm that comes their way.
And you were mentioning earlier, I think as an organization to really take care of your customers like that, you have to have a staff that's willing to do that, which a lot of times starts with the organization they work for, Apex in this situation, taking care of them.
Right.
No, that way it's almost a funnel through.
We actually used to do, and we moved away from it because people just didn't utilize it as much. But it kind of, it relates to that and the reason why we did it. But we used to do free gym memberships for every employee. That they had to sign up for it. And, we didn't just have them and pay for them for no reason. But we did it because there's a lot of studies that show that if the healthier you are, the happier you are. And we felt if their health is in relation to their job, then they'll attribute their happiness to that, and the happier employees do a better job. Right. Part of the reason we got away from it was we had some struggles with the corporate structure of the gym that we were using in the billing cycle, and it was it wasn't a good fit long term. And people were excited to use it at first, but the truth is if they weren't going already, they'd sign up and then they'd never go. And they'd tell me, you can turn my gym membership off. I don't go. I hadn't gone in 9 months. I'm like, oh.
But not everything's perfect, right? You got to try things out to learn if it works or not.
Figure it out. And what we realized there is that, then we'll just pay people more. If we're not going to do that, we'll just pay them a higher wage than what they're earning.
Let them decide where to.
And we've always done, our research on that. I can't remember the name of the website now. I just thought of it, and then it just vanished from my mind. But there's a website you can go to, and it will tell you what, for a specific industry, what the pay is, the average pay in your area for that.
Like Glassdoor or something?
Yeah, but I think it's called payscale.com. I think
okay,
that's what
so it's probably a couple, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like Glassdoor kind of in a sense, but it's not one where you go and go read reviews and stuff. It just tells you this is what people make, this is what a CEO of this company makes on average in your area. So it gives you an average. And then that way we can say, okay, well, we want to pay 10% higher than whatever the average is for janitorial, housekeeping, cleaner, whatever the term. We check all the terms and try to find that average of all of those combined, because you might have somebody who is under the term janitor that works in-house in a large facility, but they're really janitorial and maintenance. So they're doing maybe some light HVAC duty stuff. And so that's not quite the same, which we don't do. So that's why I'm saying that we have really kind of found our niche, and we've worked hard to stay in our lane. We really focus on offices, office buildings. Over the last couple of years, our attention has kind of really gone towards multi-tenant office buildings, where you got a 3 or 4 story building. You might have 10 offices on each floor. You might have one company that has an entire floor sometimes, but you could have, in some locations that we have, you could have, 30 businesses in this one building. Well, what we work hard to do, I want to meet every tenant. I want to know what their specifics are. Hey, this is a psychiatrist's office. Okay, y'all are here at 7 a.m. every day, and y'all are here till 7 p.m. So we'll make sure that they don't start on this floor, that they work up to here when y'all are gone. You don't want your desk dust and wiped down. Not a problem. You want this. You don't want that. Mm-hmm. And all, within reason.
Right.
But a lot of times in those scenarios, there's a scope of service that's agreed upon with a property manager or the property owner.
And individual tenants may not be satisfied with that.
Right. Well, they know what's included, but we still want them to have a voice. And it gives us an opportunity to connect with them. And and it allows us to kind of tailor the services, again, within reason to meet their needs. And we know that makes the property manager look better, and that helps our relationship there, because they've got a happy tenant. A happy tenant doesn't change. You know? I've had the same insurance company for a long time. I got a call the other day, and I was like, I'm not interested. And they're like, well, you haven't heard the numbers. I'm like, I'm happy. I don't need to know the numbers.
Hey, that means a lot, right?
Even if it's free, I'd probably say no, because I know that,
you got and you're taken care of. And I think that means a lot to people.
Right.
So I don't think I've asked you this before. Before we wrap up, Apex Commercial Cleaning, where does Apex come from?
Well, Apex is, top.
That's what I was thinking. Like
like the peak.
Okay.
And it starts with an A. I mean, I hate to say that, but that was a big part of the process in choosing the name. My dad wanted me to call it Knockout Cleaning,
I bet he did.
A friend of mine wanted me to call it Knockout Cleaning. Another friend, my dad wanted me to call it Williford Cleaning because he had 5 boys and he wanted that name to just be everywhere. But I wanted it to be something that didn't necessarily, I didn't want to play on boxing too much. And as crazy as it sounds now, because now, especially since my dad's not here, I'm so quick to name drop him because if somebody knows him, I want to hear a story. I want to, I want to know. But at first, I didn't want people to know, and it wasn't that it was any shame or anything. I didn't want it to be, oh, that's Bo's son. Yeah, sure. You
wanted to kind of tread your own.
I wanted to
path.
know that we earned that customer's business, and then if they found out after, then great.
Right.
But Apex was, and I liked the way it sounded, and then it actually, we created it. It's an acronym for Always Providing Excellence.
There you go. Cool.
Kind of the goal there too.
So it's a couple meanings. That's awesome.
But we weren't going to be AAA. That was for sure. It needed to be something a little, and we like it. We've, as time has gone on, the commercial cleaning often falls off in conversations with people. They'll call and say, "Are you with Apex?" And there's more than one Apex, of course. That's not a super uncommon name for people to use, but we're glad to know that at least in the cleaning industry, when people hear Apex, they think of us.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I know you guys are doing great things. So on behalf of BBB, thank you for your support of BBB. Thank you for joining us on this podcast, kind of just talking, about what it means to run a trustworthy business, how to take care of your people, and how to do the right thing in the community. Before we go, last thing, what's something that people may not know about Christian? And that's kind of a zinger. I know it's kind of a tough one. Like, oh man, that's a really, you asked me that?
No, yeah,
but why not? You're poised for it.
Just one thing.
There you go. Okay.
What a long list. It has nothing to do with the mustache. So, I'll give one since we've been talking about my dad. In 2006, I was the youngest ever Louisiana State Golden Gloves heavyweight champion at 16 years old in the 94 years that the Louisiana State Golden Gloves have been in existence.
So I didn't even know that.
And then in that same year, I was fortunate enough to have some bums that made it to the regionals and for me to make it to nationals, and I was the second youngest participant in the National Golden Gloves that year.
Dang, that's awesome.
Which was pretty cool as a 16-year-old. Probably didn't do me any favors. It made my head a little bigger than it probably needed to be.
Your dad was proud, right?
No, and wonderful memories and experiences that I got to create with him.
Awesome.
So.
You mentioned, how important your staff satisfaction is, but also, employee training. You talked about how at the base level, you just kind of need a bucket and a mop to clean, right? So how are you as a business owner trying to stay up to date with the latest technology practices, environmental regulation practices, as far as relaying that and training your staff up to par?
So some of the software that we use allows us to communicate that to our staff to where we can send messages out to everybody. We have a really great relationship. Our management team has a great relationship with staff. So when we have changes, a lot of times we do that in person. But our training process is a little different, and there's an initial orientation onboarding process where they learn what we do, and what we always start with is why we do it the way that we do it. So there's a book by Simon Sinek called Start With Why that we as a management team read a number of years ago, and we try to utilize that in all the different ways that we can, but making sure that it's consistent so that quality maintains consistent, and then reading articles and getting publications in the mail and podcasts. There's cleaning podcasts out there, of course. I mean, there's a podcast for everything, right?
Oh yeah.
And so just kind of keeping up with that, and then when we hear something, doing our due diligence and making sure that we're that this information is accurate, and then really probably one of the best ways that we do is, and this I'll plug, Advanced Chemical and Janitorial is an awesome Advanced Chemical and Janitorial is an awesome provider that we use. And there's a number of other awesome janitorial providers, but that's one that we have a really great relationship with. And so they keep us abreast of any changes or new cleaning solutions or equipment that are out there to help us be more efficient and provide a good service to our customers.
That's awesome.
And here is a meme. Here's your boy Vince. That comes from the Apex Commercial Cleaning page on Facebook. When you find out the office is finally getting a new cleaning company, then it goes to a little more intrigued Vince. When you see the hashtag best dressed janitor doing a walkthrough, and then finally, when you find out Apex is the new cleaning company, and there's Vince, if you're watching on the YouTube.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I did plug the WWF and WCW earlier.
You did.
That, so
You did.
Yeah, growing up, that was a
I
big
grew
part
up
of my
watching the
childhood.
same.
Yeah. So the theatrics, I'm all about them.
Yeah, there you go. Nice. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you for what you do for BBB in our community, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks. I really hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for joining us. To help support the show, please like, share, follow us on whatever podcast application or even on YouTube, wherever you caught this episode at. If you want to find out more about the Better Business Bureau, you can contact us, 337-981-3497. You can find us on social media, BBB Acadiana. And as always, you can go to bbb.org for any information you're looking for. See you next time. Thank you so much for joining us.
This podcast is part of the Acadiana Cast Network. Go to acadianacast.com for more South Louisiana sourced content.